title for this message is Walk Before You Run. I got this message while I was thinking of my daughter. My daughter Alina is 4 years old now, but I was reminiscing on her younger years. In my reflection, I thought about how she was so quick to begin walking, something that takes most babies a year to get down. She was already doing at just 9 months old. The issue was that she was not content with walking. She had ambitions to run. Wanting to run is neither good or bad, but like most things, out of sequence, it can be dangerous and even deadly. So let me explain. Something as simple as running, if you do not have the strength, balance, and coordination, then running now not only is not wise, but is now in fact dangerous. What is funny is just by perfecting walking, you will actually naturally gain the fundamentals of strength, balance, and coordination that is needed to run successfully and safely. So, let's go back to my daughter Alina. She already was advanced for her development in learning how to walk. But did she learn how to perfect the art of walking? Absolutely not. So keep in mind, her version of walking was an unstable, wobbly, jerking motion that she could carry for about 3 to 4 steps successfully. Again, for her age, that is incredible. And she was ahead in her development. However, she was not content with where she was within her walk. She wanted to go to a place that her walk could not carry her to. What was interesting being a parent witnessing this is you naturally love to see your child be great and strive for excellence. And who doesn't want to see their child excelling ahead of schedule? But what my wife and I soon found out was that trying to excel past your development is not only unwise, but very dangerous. After just 2 weeks of Alina attempting to run, we immediately had to purchase her a helmet. Why, you might ask? Because she continued to fall, but because she was attempting to run instead of walk, her wipeouts were much more violent, many resulting in her head breaking her fall rather than her butt. Around this time, I also learned that when babies begin walking prematurely, they can develop abnormalities such as being bow-legged, as their bones are not yet prepared to carry that weight. So in this very simple anecdote, I came to realize that many of us are like my daughter. We have a clear gift that allows us to accomplish unreal results. But since we are not patient with the basics, we many times rush into unintended harm because we are attempting to get our goal without mastering the basics, fundamentals. There's a famous saying that says, "You must walk before you can run." And I laugh when I hear it now because it's as if my daughter Alina was trying to defy that truth. I'm sure if we could have interviewed Alina, she would have expressed that, hey, walking was just a milestone. The real goal was always running. So rather than perfecting walking to be a better and safer runner, walking once or twice with no issues was the sign that she used to say, I'm ready for the next level. By now, I hope you guys can see where I'm going, and hopefully you are getting convicted about the places in your own life where you have been doing this same thing. The fundamentals are the very foundation that we use to build everything on. And spiritually speaking, if you do not know how to do the fundamentals, then it will be out of order if you are already trying to run into your purpose or even fully understand what your purpose is. When you attempt to master your gift without mastering the fundamentals, you are building on a weak foundation. So you may reach tall heights, but will you be able to survive the height? Or will the height that was built too quickly lead you to destruction? The game of Jenga is a great example of this. Many of us are rushing through our foundation or the fundamentals to build something, but without the fundamentals, or in this case, the foundation, no matter how skillful you are in building, the smallest mistake will bring everything you built crashing down. God is funny because many times he will call you to do something that you have no clue how to do. But remember, our Father is such a good God that he would never call you to do something and not give you all the resources and provision in order to do it. This is the key takeaway. You may have to continue to develop further until you can reach the next step. So in other words, we can't try to get His will done on our own timeline. So if God shows you that you must first walk before you can run, show mastery in walking, and then you will be led to run. So again, mastery isn't completing at one time with no issue. Mastery, in fact, is when you can't mess it up. So if you are just one day into a new milestone, chances are you haven't mastered it. You've only been successful. And this is very important for us to understand because a lot of times we've been programmed to just be so focused on success that we never truly master anything. So don't be so focused on the end goal that you do not master your current accomplishment. It makes it hard to not make this mistake because we have been programmed again that accomplishment means that you're ready for the next step or the next level. I just think about school. School, once you pass that test, you're ready for the next subject or you're ready for the next exam. And in your walk with God, it's not always like that. You can show patience and love and kindness in one area, and then the very next day fail in that same exact subject. So again, when it comes to walking with God, not understanding and mastering the fundamentals will have you like the Israelites, wandering through the desert for 40 years because you lack the obedience, faith, character, and attitude to walk into the promised land. So many times, just because you aren't in slavery anymore doesn't mean that you are now ready for the promised land. I want you to think of it like this. The desert is the training ground and the perfect place to learn and master the fundamentals that will be needed in the promised land. And it's interesting because in Exodus, not a single person, including Moses, that escaped slavery from Egypt entered the promised land. So they experienced great achievement, but still didn't fulfill the destiny God had for them. One of my biggest goals in this life is to reach the finish line and not just a checkpoint. And I think the most interesting thing about walking with God is sometimes you think the last checkpoint you reached is the finish line. And a trick I've taught myself is that when there is no longer another checkpoint, God will take me from this earth. And let me tell you something, whether this is true or not, isn't really important, because my goal is when I do meet God, whenever that day is, to make sure I did not leave my duties undone. And having the mindset that He blessed me with another day, then clearly there is still more for me to do is a safeguard against my own human nature to become complacent. So hopefully this message has led you to ask yourself, what are the fundamentals God is looking for me to master? I believe there are many specific ones that are attached to all of us based on our purpose and situations we find ourselves in. But one fundamental that applies to all people, regardless of purpose, is found in Exodus 20, when Moses gave the people the 10 commandments. These commandments read to love God with all your heart and have no other God before Him. Have no idols in your life, not to misuse God's name, to remember the Sabbath and keep it holy, to honor your parents, to not murder, to not commit adultery, to not steal, and to not bear false witness. And lastly, to not covet. But even outside of this, we see Jesus tell us in Matthew 22, the two most important commandments are to love your God with all your heart soul, and mind. And secondly, love your neighbor as you love yourself. He said this because these two commandments are the foundation or the fundamentals of all the divine commandments. This shows the importance of fundamentals. And in closing, I want to leave you with this. If you master the fundamentals, you have no choice but to be successful. We'll be blessed. My name is Alex De Rosario, and thank you for listening to this message.